So as I'm reading this over the last decade, the fact that we can control to a large extent how disease enters or doesn't enter the body is like radically, it's erratic. I mean, it's exciting, isn't it? I mean, the idea, like we all think, or at least the way I was raised, the way our culture teaches it is if you get Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, Crohn's disease, like if you get one of these diseases, you could not have done anything different in your previous 50 years to prevent that from happening. And that's a lie. It's like straight up not true. And at least taking a step back, I get a little intense. The science is supporting more and more that we can prevent disease.
Hello, and welcome to the Art of Living Well podcast. I'm Stephanie May Potter, and I'm here with my co-host, Marnie Dotches-Marmette.
We created the Art of Living Well podcast to empower you to live your happiest, healthiest, and most authentic life. Each week, we will bring you inspiring and motivating conversations covering health and wellness topics, including fitness, mindset, food, travel, product reviews, and strategies from a variety of experts, including our own bank of knowledge.
We are excited to educate, motivate, and inspire you to change the way you perceive health and discover your art of living well. Get ready to feel inspired.
Hello, and welcome to episode 93 of the Art of Living Well podcast. Before we get started today, I just wanted to say that we're so grateful for all of you, our listeners, and also our guests. We feel so lucky to be able to have all of these enlightening, thought-provoking, and inspirational conversations with our guests each week. And we just want to thank you for supporting us on this very fun and rewarding journey. This week, Stephanie and I are running our 7-day liver detox as we're jumping into the fall season. It's going really well. We've been through our 2 smoothie fasting days, and we're eating just whole foods, and it's delicious. And we have a great group of people in the detox. It's a great community. And we're so excited for everybody that's joined us. And our next one will be starting in January. Today, we are so excited and honored to welcome Tim O'Brien. Tim has extensive experience in the health and wellness industry. He began his career in 2003 at GNC Franchises. Then he became the manager of Elite Nutrition. During those years, he built a solid foundation of knowledge and expertise. His passion and success gave him the vision to open his own business. Tim believes in educating and empowering individuals to make lifelong healthy choices and changes. His desire is to help each person reach their health potential. His energy is contagious, and he's so excited about helping you. He now owns 4 brick-and-mortar stores in Madison, Wisconsin, and you can find his store also online at findyourhealthyplace.com. In our conversation with Tim, we really learned how Tim makes an impact with his customers by really empowering them to educate themselves and to really dig into their own health and wellness. We talked about all kinds of supplements and how you can address stress and anxiety through supplements. We talked about epigenetics. Tim gave a lot of simple tips and strategies that listeners can implement immediately, and he just had so much great value to share on our show. But first, a quick word from our new sponsor, The Healthy Place, an online and brick-and-mortar supplement store based in Wisconsin. We know how overwhelming and confusing shopping for vitamins and supplements can be, and many people start taking supplements without understanding what their body needs. It is so important to ensure that the supplements you're taking are high quality, free of common allergens, GMOs, and third-party tested, so you know that what you are putting in your body is actually what it states on the bottle. We recently sat down and chatted with the founder of The Healthy Place, Tim O'Brien, whose mission as a company is to impact, empower, and educate every customer to learn, grow, and create a lifelong foundation of health and wellness. Both Tim and his wife and co-owner, Becky, strive to inspire their customers to make healthy changes that will impact every area of their life, and we couldn't agree more with their values.
One of the things that sets the Healthy Place apart from the other places that you can buy supplements from is their team of wellness consultants who are ready to help you find the highest quality product. They won't just find you a product for what you believe you may need. They ask questions to understand the underlying condition that you're trying to address, and they really guide and educate you on your journey to find wellness. And now they have an online chat feature that duplicates the level of service that you get from their in-person store, allowing you to receive personalized service from the comfort of your home. Some common ailments they love helping customers address include chronic pain, stress, anxiety, sleep issues, and even energy and immunity. We were so impressed with their genuine desire to help educate and motivate their customers to get to the root of their issue and address it in a very holistic way. Another benefit we love about findyourhealthyplace.com is that they carry many different vetted brands so that you are not stuck with one brand or product to try. So head on over to findyourhealthyplace.com and chat with an online wellness consultant. You can use code LIVINGWELL for 30% off the full price of your supplement purchase.
Hi, Tim. Thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast today. We are so excited that we were introduced to each other and that we learned about your business. And we're really looking forward to a great conversation with you today.
Thank you, Marnie. Thank you, Stephanie, for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
We are too. So everyone has a story, and we would love for you to share yours and kind of how you found your calling in life and you decided to enter the wellness industry and ultimately, start all these stores. So
yeah,
take it away.
Oh, I'd love to. Super, super fun story. I mean, it started out not so fun. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, my mom, she got diagnosed with cancer. And I remember as a little guy, there just being a lot of fear in the home. I remember watching her hair fall out and her crying, tears coming down her face. And I remember that like raw emotion, like it was yesterday, that feeling. And then I remember going with her to a little tiny podunk health food store in Mequon, Wisconsin, and her talking to a guy who had some education in the supplement natural alternative world. And she got this like spark of hope in her eyes. And we would go there like once a week and she'd have an hour and a half conversation. I remember being like 6 years old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, being just bored as all get out, just like walking around this little health food store. This is terrible. But my memory from it is like, that's where she was struck with hope. And she was going through the chemotherapy, the radiation, the side effects that come with that, feeling terrible. And the recovery, her recovery, she would say, was dramatically enhanced by different natural nutraceuticals and natural alternatives. And so through that experience, she got a job at that health food store, which was cool. And she began to manage that health food store. And us 5 kids were homeschooled. So we'd go to with mom to work. And we grew up in this back room, doing our math problems for homeschool. And I'd watch my mom, create these testimonies, chronic pain, helping people get away from the opiates and the pharmaceutical medications over, handful of Tylenol a day to taking a natural alternative. And I'd watch her produce these testimonies with people that are depressed and full of anxiety and stress and sleep problems and helping other people that are battling cancer. And I'd watch these like really cool, kind of exciting stories because these, Martha or Barbara would just come back again and again every month. And we'd like hear their stories sort of like unfold. And that got something into me of like, man, it was just in my DNA that's so cool to be able to help people in that way. So when I was 18 years old, I got a job at a health food store too. And that's actually what brought me to Madison, Wisconsin, was to district manage some of these health food stores. And there was this sort of like ugly corporate takeover in 2007 where everybody lost their jobs. And it sort of sent me to the drawing board, like, okay, whoa, I had this like career going. I have found out, a little bit about myself. I was like 20 years old then, 21, 22, somewhere in there. And I found, man, okay, life is like really short. I was sort of like inspired about life at an earlier age, just how fast it is. It's like you have 80 years on planet Earth. It's the clock is ticking, and it's like, what are you going to do with it? Life is so valuable. You can do good things, you can do bad things, you can do nothing. And so I wanted to do good things. And that's where Becky and I prayerfully decided, hey, let's start the Healthy Place. So that was in 2010. And I was really happy about that. It's very exciting. Start my own business. I get to help people. I like people in general. I like to encourage people, and I'm passionate about this natural alternative thing. So I was very content having one store in Fitchburg, Wisconsin, and sharing knowledge that I'd gained and inspiration and education with my community there. And then it was like, this is really cool. Maybe I can help more people. And I sort of like carry that sense of responsibility. Like if I'm given something by God, like I want to share that with people. And so I want to share that in greater and greater and greater ways. So it's like, let's do a second store. So that was Sun Prairie. And that's still in Madison area, Madison, Wisconsin. And then it was like that was in 2015. And then 2017, 2018, we launched our other two stores, which is like West Madison and Middleton. That's all in a county called Dane County, which is right around Madison, Wisconsin. And so that was 4 stores. And then last year, COVID hit, and it was like, oh my gosh, all of my stores are at risk of like dying because there's like these shutdowns. Am I going to be able to stay open? Thankfully, I was able to stay open. And in-store traffic definitely took a hit. So it's like, I got to think about my vision. I got to think about my mission on this earth to like help people and be a light and be an inspiration, right? So then my eyes shifted towards our website, which we've had for a few years, but never really put any energy behind it. I created the website to serve my customers in Madison, Wisconsin, not necessarily like the whole nation. And so all my energy went towards building that. And so a year later now, I'm really excited. We just moved into our warehouse. So we have this little warehouse in Madison where we get to ship product all over the United States. And it's become more successful than any one of my brick and mortar stores, which again, all this is just like new to me and something I didn't even set out to do. But here I am now sending out like thousands of packages every month to the nation. And it's really fun because it has given me the freedom to try to mimic and duplicate what we're doing in our in-store experience, which is impact, empower, and educate. That's part of our mission statement. It's like impact, empower, and educate every customer to learn, grow, and create a lifelong foundation of health and wellness. And so the question came up, how do we duplicate that? Because when a customer comes in and they're like into one of our stores and they're looking for like B12, hey, I need some B12, we asked the question like, oh, cool. Yeah, we got that right over here. Can I ask why you're taking B12? And they might share their story. Well, I have nerve pain. I'm fatigued. I have my immune system is compromised. And someone told me that B12 is good for all of those things. So then we get the ability to then, because we have some knowledge in this area, our expertise is in supplements, to share with them, oh, great. Yeah, here's an excellent B12. And did you know 92% of fatigue is directly related to your adrenal glands? And if you strengthen your adrenal glands, you will have more energy. It'll boost your immune system and it reduces stress. Oh, and by the way, it helps you sleep a little bit better too. So then we might get them a product like Adrenal Boost, which is a popular product we sell, and they'll feel the difference day one. 9 out of 10 people feel an energy boost day one. It's not caffeinated. It's literally just strengthening your adrenal glands, which is responsible for your energy production. So now all of a sudden, this person that came in, looking for B12 leaves with this little excitement and hope that their life and their quality of life is going to get a little bit better. And they experience that impact, which is why, like, if I have a hashtag, it's hashtag impact, because we can all do this in our various areas of life. We can impact people for the better. So then that customer feels the difference. They come back a month later. They're like, dang, I love that I love that energy I'm feeling. That nerve pain, I'm still experiencing nerve pain though. The B12 didn't really do much for the nerve pain. Okay, well, let's try our lipoic acid, because Germany has been using it for 50 years to treat terrible nerve pain, and it works. So then she tries that. Now, all of a sudden, her nerve pain is reduced. And now she's like, oh my gosh, maybe I don't need to keep taking gabapentin, this pharmaceutical drug, which has terrible, terrible side effects. And she gets off of that pharmaceutical. So now her like quality of life is better. Her pain's reduced. Her energy is higher. Her immune system is strengthened, and that person, her life has literally been changed because she came into our store and asked for B12. And so that's what I get really excited about. And that's what our wellness consultants get really excited about, because we've trained them and they've gone through a 3-month like training program before they can work with customers. So they like understand supplements and good, better, best, and what the natural world says to recommend for this or that or this or that. So now bringing that into the online world has been really cool, because there's neat ideas like the live chat feature on our website. If you go to findyourhealthyplace.com, there's a little live chat feature in the lower right where you can have a consultation, and the same thing gets to happen there. Like, hey, I'm looking for a B12. And then our wellness consultant responds like, oh, awesome. Can I ask what you're using it for? And then they start that same sort of journey. And there's lots of little ways that we've been able to sort of duplicate that in-store experience. If a new customer, say you ordered like vitamin C, you would get a email and a follow-up, maybe even a phone call, like, hey, if you are taking that vitamin C for immune system and you're a little bit worried about the immune system, take 2 per day instead of the 1 that the bottle says, because it'll strengthen your immune system in a little bit better way. So we're attempting to impact people in the same way that we do in stores. And the response of our customer base has been really cool, because they're like sort of like shocked that we'd take the time to care that much about them.
Yeah.
And it's just intrinsic to, who we're trying to be, which is like actually caring for people and not just like a faceless business that wants a purchase. So it's been a fun journey.
Wow. I mean, thank you for sharing all that. I love how you took this, experience, this really unfortunate experience with your mom. And she was able to, help herself. And then through that experience, I mean, at a very, very young age, you then came into your own calling and passion with what you wanted to do. And the fact that you started this business and then you really pivoted and took off over the last year with COVID. And now your reach is endless, right? You can reach people all around the country, maybe all around the world.
Oh, cool. Eventually, yes, the world.
Yes, the world, right? And just the mission, and that you're not the typical corner big box, even supplement store, yet alone the other big box stores that are also selling supplements.
Yep.
And so that kind of gets to, one of the questions we have is just, and Marty and I talk a lot about this, and we'd love for you to share your view is, why is it so important that a person vet their supplements? And, why buy from you versus going to Target or the grocery store, and I'm not trying to, name names here, but just sort of, there's many places to get your supplements, both online and in a actual brick and mortar store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an excellent question. And people ask it often, because it's like the common perception is that vitamin C is vitamin C. Mm-hmm. And why would I pay an extra $3 over here versus $3 cheaper over here? Like, it's an honest question. I mean, when I'm looking for whatever, I like the cost to be lower. And when there's a sale on something that I like, I am excited about the cost being lower. So it makes sense that people would look for cheaper supplements. And I think what's so important to recognize is there's a few points that you want to be able to trust that what the label says is actually in the bottle. Mm-hmm. and in those pills, because surprising enough, a lot of times it doesn't match. And the FDA does not regulate and manage supplements, and they're starting to get some more rules in place, which is actually good, because then, the more sort of certifications you have to have and rules and regulations around it, the more the consumer is protected. So I'm actually a fan of, there's some things the FDA does with the supplement industry that I really don't like, but you can't win everywhere. So when you are looking at content, there was a test done that a news station in Milwaukee did, and they pulled product from Target, GNC, Walgreens, and Walmart. And when they tested the content of the pills, a number of them did not match what the label claimed. Mm-hmm. And an example that I thought was really alarming was an echinacea product, which most people know is good for your immune system, had 0% echinacea, and it ended up having traces of garlic in it.
Ooh.
So it's just like, you need to be able to trust what you're getting. So Nsf certification is something really important to our company, where it is a third party that puts a set of rules and regulations that the manufacturer has to pay to provide, because it costs a lot of money to have an Nsf certification, because there's a number of rules where they have to visit who they're sourcing from once a year. There's like all these rules. So Nsf GMP certification is really important. And that's why I tell people, like, I love it when I always encourage them, because if you buy your supplements at Target, like my first would be like a high five, because you're trying to boost your health. And I love that. The next step is to not buy your supplements from big box stores. Like, it's just not trustworthy. You just can't trust it. And it doesn't mean every brand at every big box store is bad. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, as a whole, you can't really trust it. And so content in capsule is a huge one. Number two is sourcing. You can have an Nsf GMP certified vitamin C, but if it's being sourced out of China, like, there's some red flags there. There's some concerns there. Number three is the forms of the nutrients. Okay, so you can have, see if we can follow this. It gets intense. You can have an Nsf GMP certified quality vitamin C sourced from Scotland, which is a clean source, but it can be ascorbic acid, which doesn't absorb nearly as well as calcium ascorbate. Mm-hmm. So the third point is forms of ingredients. There's different forms of all these ingredients. And calcium ascorbate vitamin C absorbs 4 times greater than ascorbic acid. So that's a pretty big deal. So where you buy your supplements is a big deal. Obviously, I'd love for everyone to buy from findyourhealthyplace.com. My greater encouragement, though, is find a company that you can trust and buy your supplements from them. Like, typically what that would be is a health food store, more than your big box stores or your huge chains, because there's sales associates in there that are usually like local. We all know this, like, health food store kind of picture, and the people in there are going to typically care about you more than so-and-so big box store. So then you'd have a greater level of trust there. Another option that we offer is use that live chat feature I told you about, to just direct you between questions that you might have. So someone might have a question on vitamin C, and then pop to our, findyourhealthyplace.com, hit that little live chat feature, and just use that as a resource. Doesn't even mean you have to buy anything from there. Maybe you have a nutrition store in your town, and you're just wondering about a few different brands for treating your chronic pain of curcumin. And maybe there's like turmeric option and BCM95 curcumin and Mariva curcumin. And you want to just ask, which one do you think will work best? Well, our wellness consultants who have like a lot of training in this area would say BCM95 curcumin has the most science and reason to believe that it'll reduce your inflammation and chronic pain. So we have a lot of people I utilize to encourage that feature. So to answer your question, yes, where you buy, how you buy supplements is huge.
So this is fantastic information. I think what the points that you just covered are some of the most confusing points for people. And I know Stephanie and I both do supplement consults with our clients, and I've done quite a few of them lately. And people are so confused on those issues. So thank you for laying that out so clearly.
Yeah. And don't you think, you're very welcome. Don't you think that's why it's so vital for people to just have somebody on their team to guide them? And so you guys, you provide that for a lot of people, which is so cool. And to your listeners, I'd say like, use Marnie and Stephanie because they care about you. They understand supplements. They know how to direct and sort of choose between brands and forms and qualities. And, you know, if you're a mom of 3 kids running around like a chicken with your head cut off, or you're a dude that's like working too much, like you're not going to have the time to be able to study and figure out and experience, because this stuff takes years and years and years to understand. And I think Marnie and Stephanie, we'd agree that it's like we're still like learning, and we have so much to still learn, even if we've been doing this for many years.
Absolutely. And it's just it's overwhelming and confusing. And then people just give up or don't do anything or just do what someone else is doing, which is not, I like that you're treating each individual person as a unique being, right? As a unique individual. And that you're doing that through the online chat function or feature, which is amazing that you can do that online, that you're replicating it. I mean, I love that you're like train your employees before they have to go through this, probably somewhat rigorous training program to become knowledgeable in schools. So when someone walks in the door, they can really help them.
Totally.
Well, and I'm actually, one of my questions about that is, so if a customer comes to somebody in your online chat or in your store and they say, okay, I'm taking this, this, and this, and I want to add this in, do your
consultants,
thank you. Do they know, like, okay, you can't take those 2 supplements together, or those are not going to work well together? Will they give the client that information?
Yeah. So for example, like iron and calcium don't like jive super great. Like they affect each other's absorption. So taking those separate, you'd get a little bit better bioavailability, better absorption. And our wellness consultants would know to do that. We don't play doctor. Like if somebody's like, I'm on these 3 or 4 medications, we have to be careful with that. You guys probably know that situation where it's like, you kind of have to say, like, check with your pharmacist. I always tell people though that checking with your pharmacist is often better than your medical doctor, because the pharmacists do have more experience and knowledge specific to natural alternatives connected to the pharmaceutical drugs. So your pharmacist is typically better. I will gently say things like, well, hey, this vitamin C is really gentle on your body, and we haven't had the pharmacist like tapping the brakes on this. This has been a green light. And so sort of like gently encouraging them to like, well, maybe you don't have to check this one with the pharmacist, because you guys know how the system is. Sometimes they'll block people from taking incredible medicinals that'll change their life because of, some sort of non-validated concern. I don't know. I mean, our doctors are caring people. A lot of them are wonderful. And their education isn't always in the natural world. So you end up missing out on this mammoth part of reality, which is like food and, your diet and exercise and acupuncture and chiropractic and supplements that can cure diseases. I don't want to say anything too strong, but it's important to sort of like be gaining education over the years. So have people on your team that can sort of like educate you and guide you through this journey.
Right. And I have a question that has come up before, like whole food supplements. And you kind of talked about the form of the nutrients, but there's so many out there. And if there's a lot of like synthetic ingredients in there and your body not recognizing and not being able to absorb, it recognizes a carrot, but it may not recognize, beta carotene coming from a pill or, a different mineral.
Right. Yeah. You go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, just anything that you could share on that topic.
Yeah. So that's so interesting that you asked that, because that's been a part of my journey for sure. is like isolated compounds over to whole food compounds, back to isolated compounds. So I love whole food supplements. One of my favorite companies is Mega Food. They do a really, really good job when it comes to like, hey, let's have whole food nutrients in there that have vitamin C, that have vitamin A, that have vitamin D in it. And my personal like journey has brought me to isolated compounds, not because I know emphatically that it's better, more so because there's more scientific, there's more science clinicals done on isolated compounds. So when you look at, a good example might just be vitamin C. Like we have thousands of clinicals on that, but we don't have thousands of clinicals on what happens if you put a piece of an orange in a pill. The amount of vitamin C is smaller, but it's food. So your body recognizes all those like additional, I forget the word for it, but like partners of nutrients that are connected together. So there's something really cool about that. It's also, if we're trying to battle something, say somebody's battling cancer, well, Dr. Gerson has like had unbelievable cure rate in 1940s, 1950s with vitamin C therapy. And he used 150 milligrams a day of that isolated compound. So there's just like really cool science behind some of those. So I take that approach a little bit more often than the whole food approach, but we sell both on our website. And depending on where people are at in their journey, I might recommend a whole food source, like Mega Foods Blood Builder is an example of an iron supplement that never causes constipation, never gives a stomach ache. People feel fantastic on it and their iron levels come up. So that's a great recommendation when you have somebody with a history of taking an iron pill from, wherever and getting a stomach ache and throwing up. It's like, okay, we don't want that to happen.
Right. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, what would you say, in your opinion, from all the years you've been doing this, like, what are the life-changing supplements out there? Like, I know everybody has their own issues, obviously, but like, I'm just curious what you think.
That's a really great question. And I think it's two answers. I think there's a group over here that is doing pretty good. Hey, I'm healthy. I feel pretty good every day, but I want to be even more vibrant. I want to have more energy. I want to reduce my stress. I want to like sleep a little bit deeper, better. Then you have the group over here that's like, they're facing a chronic condition and what nutrients could free them from that terrible condition. And so, the group over here would have maybe 3 different supplements that I can share with you that are like the 3 most important supplements, maybe I could say, just for general people. And then over here, it's much more specific to that person, like chronic pain might highlight. So over here, there's like, I said I would do 3, but there's like 5 foundational supplements that just everybody would hugely benefit from on a regular basis. Number 1, anti-inflammatory. And that's because we all battle inflammation. Inflammation is the root of all disease. Plays a role in every single disease known to man. It's a part of all chronic pain. It's a part of every digestive disorder and battle. It's a part of almost every condition in some way, asthma, inflammation. And so regardless of the issue, inflammation is usually a part of it in some sort of way. So that's number 1. Number 2 is a powerful antioxidant, because we all battle and face oxidative stress, toxins, free radical damage. When you take a bite out of an apple, it turns brown. That's oxidative stress. Like that's what's happening to our bodies. And an antioxidant is like the Superman that protects against oxidative stress, toxins, free radical damage. Number 3, an omega-3, essential fatty acids. My favorite's like a fish oil. And every single cell in the body has a layer of essential fatty acids. So it strengthens every single system in the body. Fish oil is the most studied compound on the planet next to vitamin D. So very, very cool science and reason to believe that it would help every part of your body. Number 4 is a good quality multivitamin, because we're all nutritionally deficient in one way or another. And a good quality, I say good quality because there's a lot of bad quality ones out there. So a good quality one that also has a high level of vitamin D in there, because that's, perhaps the most important vitamin that most of us are deficient in. But we're also, most of us are deficient in iodine. Most of us are deficient in magnesium. 70%, I think, is deficient in zinc. So as you go across the board, it's just like good quality multivitamin, therapeutic levels of nutrients. I take one called Lively Vitamin Co.'s multivitamin. It's 4 capsules a day, and you just take 4 capsules once a day, but it has therapeutic amounts of each one of those vitamins. Then number 5, and foundational 5, I might call it, is a good quality probiotic. So if you picture those first 4 as like legs to a table, the top of the table that sort of holds everything together is the probiotic. And this is because your good and bad bacteria in your body are always in a race. Whichever one's winning decides the state and the health of the rest of your body. Your enzyme production's controlled by it. Enzymes are like the key that unlocks nutrients out of your foods, which is huge. And as we age, our enzyme production goes down. Probiotics and healthy flora also are responsible for vitamin production in your body. So a probiotic is just huge, and it's that top of the table that holds everything together. So for this group over here, that's like, what are a few supplements I can take that will just enhance my quality of life? Those 5 are almost always the 5 that I'd go for somebody, and everybody would benefit from those 5. And then over here, I'll highlight the top 2 struggles that we have people coming to our stores and online, which is chronic pain and stress. Chronic pain conversation, like, you can absolutely reduce your chronic pain with natural alternatives. We all know about the opiate epidemic. We all know about popping too much Tylenol, ibuprofen. Talked to one guy that had such terrible pain. I almost called the police because I was like, dude, this guy's going to die if he keeps doing this. He's like, I put as much ibuprofen in my hand that I can fit in the palm of my hand.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
I'm just
that
trying
is
to,
horrific.
maybe the dude was exaggerating, but I'm just trying to visualize that. I'm like, that's got to be like 40 pills. They're little tiny guys. So you can absolutely reduce chronic pain with BCM95 curcumin. Is one of the highest absorbed forms of curcumin. We sell a product called Cura Health, CURAHN Health, and that has the BCM95 curcumin. Baylor University out of Texas is doing unbelievable research and great breakthroughs in the arthritis conversation and overall chronic pain. Also cancer treatment with BCM95 curcumin. So some really neat breakthrough out of Baylor University. So I'd highlight that as a huge one. And for the stress, depression, anxiety, I'd throw in there, sleep problems. That's kind of all wrapped up together in what I call stress. And we all encounter that in some way or another. Our top seller is one called Chill Pill. And we joke about it because after 2020, we all need a chill pill.
Yeah.
And
what's in the chill pill?
It's a cool one, guys. Yeah. It's my favorite product because you just feel good on it. And it's a supplement that you feel the first time you take it, which is nice because we know the health journey is a lifetime commitment, and it's easy to stall out in this area or that area, whatever. So in the chill pill, there is several different medicinals. So magnolia bark, which has an active compound in it called hanakyle, which is at 50% in the chill pill product, which is a pretty therapeutic amount. And that balances your cortisol levels, your stress hormone, and it balances that. And then it has 5-HTP, an amino acid, 5-hydroxytryptophan, that balances your serotonin levels. And what antidepressants do is they spike your serotonin levels and sort of chemically alter. So the cool thing about the amino acid 5-HTP is it balances your serotonin levels. So it uplifts the mood. The next nutrient's L-theanine, which is one of my favorite amino acids because it's super calming to the mind for those obsessive kind of anxious thoughts. So it's built. I mean, it is a good product. It has a little passion flower in there, eleuthero, herb, and they all just work together well to calm stress, like overall stress relief, and uplift the mood and sort of like balance those brain chemicals going on that control so much of how we feel. So I love the chill pill.
I think I need to buy that for.
Me too. I want to try it out.
Myself, and there's some family members I think that could benefit from that as well.
Nice.
So is there any danger to taking the chill pill if it's like messing with your serotonin levels and stuff?
Great question. So when you balance, that's why I mentioned the fact that it balances. When you look at certain pharmaceutical drugs, the reason they're so dangerous is because no matter where you're at, they perform an action and they spike something. So when you take something like the 5-HTP, it's a normalizer. So if you're too high, it brings it down. If it's too low, it brings it up. It balances the body. And that's one of my favorite things about nutrition in general is when you put the right nutrients in the body, it's incredible what it does. And when you're, understanding which nutrients do which, they're not going to cause any sort of like side effects or long-term effects or addictive properties like the drugs do. So it's a very safe supplement. In fact, you can give it to kiddos. There's like nothing in there that is hard on the body or could be toxic or build up to a toxic level. And, if a kiddo can swallow a capsule, even like a 7-8-year-old could take one of those.
Okay. That's so good. That's great to know.
And just out of curiosity, is it something that someone could kind of become reliant on, or not addicted to, but like
good question
on, I guess?
Good question. It's not addictive like antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, or sleep medications. Your body does not create a dependency on it. And it really goes back to how the drugs spike your serotonin levels and hold them at a certain place. Even if your body wants to like regulate or manage, the drugs force it to not be able to control, versus the nutrients in the chill pill will balance your body and then allow the body to still have control. So have you ever talked to somebody that got on maybe antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds and they're like, I just don't feel like myself anymore? Like that's the verbiage of what we hear from customers. And that's what the drugs are doing. It's literally overriding your body's ability to control and manage its own chemicals. Because we all have dopamine, serotonin levels, oxytocins, like the love chemical, and endorphins. So we have 4 chemicals that are good feeling and important to stimulate. And then we have this negative chemical called cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And that's the one way that the body has to tell you like, hey, something's going wrong. And so we want to find healthy ways to sort of balance those chemicals.
So, I know a lot of people are on anti-anxiety, antidepressants, and for very good reasons often. And I know you're not a doctor. I'm not asking you to give medical advice, but have you in your observations of working with your customers, are there people that have very mild conditions that are on prescription drugs who are able to slowly over time, with doctor supervision, everything, wean off of them by taking something like the chill pill, for instance?
Yes. Yep. And that's sort of my mission. It's not to come against drugs and it's not to come against our medical system. It's more to partner with them as an option for natural alternatives. And it's pretty cool because at least in Madison, we're seeing more and more doctors even going like, hey, why don't you stop at like this health food store? Because we've been hearing some good reports about, before you get hooked on a drug for the rest of your life, like maybe consider trying a natural alternative. And there's other people that I've journeyed with that are on antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, sleep medications that are just not liking how they feel. And they might feel an additional lift. Like they'll say, oh, I got on this drug. I'm like feeling better. It's kind of cool. But then a year later, they're still on the drugs and they're not feeling good anymore. And they're sort of like back to where they were. So then the medical system might get them on a second medication. And then maybe they'll have another little lift over some time, but then a year later, because I've been doing this, 17, 18 years. So then you start to journey with these people and you start to see these trends of, okay, now a year later, they're on a third medication for sleep. So now they're taking two different antidepressants to sort of counteract each other. And then they're taking a sleep medication to help them fall asleep. And they're literally addicted to all three. They can't get off unless they are really careful and under their pharmacist supervision, that kind of thing. So I've seen that trend enough. So I'll encourage people, hey, if you're on an antidepressant and you feel because I respect where people are feeling and how they're feeling and where they're at, is consider trying a natural alternative like Chill Pill. And you can consider, minimizing the medication, connect with your pharmacist. What I always say is ask the pharmacist how and what's the best way to move off of this versus do you think I should move off of this? Because the medical system is kind of set up to be this is what we do. We provide drugs for people. We provide surgeries for people. And that's sort of their, when you're a hammer, everything's a nail. And so the way the medical system's set up, it's just drugs and surgery. And it's off. There's not really room in there for natural alternatives that work. So that's sort of my job, is to be educating on natural alternatives that work. So when you approach the pharmacist, hey, okay, I'm on this medication. I really want to try this natural alternative. I'm curious if I can wean myself off of the meds because I think I might feel better. What's the best way? Guide me. What's the best way to do that? And some people go to their pharmacist, others don't. And that's okay too. You don't have to go that route. And to answer your question though, we have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of testimonies of people getting off the pharmaceutical medications with natural alternatives that work. And they've done it in a very safe manner. CBD is another conversation that we have seen so many testimonies on. And the most exciting part of my job is opening my email daily and seeing the reviews coming in from Facebook, from Google reviews, from our website review platform. We have MIA feedback where we'll ask people, and Trustpilot will send people an email hey, how'd the Chill Pill work for you? And I get to hear these testimonies, and it's a half dozen to a dozen testimonies a day on either how people are feeling better from a supplement that we sell or hey, I got off this opiate. I no longer need pain drugs because the CBD and curcumin that I bought from you is working, and that just sort of lights my fire. I'm yeah.
I mean, that's it's so amazing. And it's almost through these supplements, individuals are able to get their bodies to do what they were designed and intended to do and get back to a state of homeostasis where things are working and all your levels are balanced. In the body. Yes. So I love hearing these stories. I know you must be, the passion is one coming through. We can see you, everyone else can hear you, but you're so energetic, and it just, the passion and your mission and what you're doing to help others is amazing. And it's clearly what you were called to do. So
thank you.
I love how you're passionate about educating, because I think there are a lot of stores, even, the co-op that I go to that sells supplements. I will go and ask questions, and oftentimes they can't answer my questions, and not because they don't want to, but they just don't have that education. And so I love that you are really taking the time to get your people educated so that they can answer these questions.
It is so, you can have the best heart in the world, you can have the most passion to help people. And if you don't stop them and attempt to educate them where you're at, if you don't have the education piece, rather, you're limited to be able to help them. So I think it's so cool because you guys do the same thing. You have the passion to help people, you have good hearts, and you have the knowledge to be able to guide the human. And it's what the customer wants too. It's what the human wants. It's we all love it when we go wherever it is, say I'm going to get new tires and the guy knows his tires like the back of his hand. And he's hold on, see those ones over there? They're $800. You do not need that. These ones over here at $650 are just as good. Here's all the 7 reasons why. And you should buy this one over here. It's like mind blowing as a customer to be like, okay, he just like saved me $150. He didn't have to do that. His company made a little bit less money, but now what? Now I'm like committed to this entire place for life because I can trust them.
Well, that gets to your motto that souls before sales is what you're really talking about, right?
Yep. I was, I don't know if I shared, but I was praying. This is when I first opened the company, and it is, you have your house on the line. You're risking everything for this like business idea that is a part of your dream for your life. So you're like, you want to go after your dreams, right? Mm-hmm. And yet you have to risk everything to do it. And you decide to take the plunge. And I was inside that first year and I was praying to God. I was like, Lord, I need sales. Like, would you give me, like, send people? We need sales. And then like an arrow struck my heart. He said, it was like, do you care about souls as much as you care about sales? Like the people, right? And I was like, man, and I, good, right? Maybe good heart. Like, okay, I obviously care about people. I'm just like praying that my like business will not.
You can feed your family, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But it was one of these spots where you're like marked for the rest of your life. Like every time I start to worry more about money or the sales, I am reminded of that prayer where I just got struck like an arrow, like the souls before sales. So I'm so thankful for that because that got like bred into our whole culture of our company. So now, like, if you ask one of our wellness consultants, like souls before sales, they're like, yep, we heard about that from Jim.
But it's a great way to do business.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So changing gears a little bit, I'm curious what your thoughts are on epigenetics.
Brilliant question. I get goosebumps thinking about this because they literally used to think that disease was all genetics, like 90% of degenerative disease was because it was somewhere in your genetics. And over the last decade, the amount of science flipping that 90% of disease is related to epigenetics is fascinating. And it's like when I started my journey, I didn't even understand the potential that I had as one little individual to spread the word on the conversation of epigenetics. And, if you're listening, you're like, what's epigenetics? Epigenetics, the way I define it, is the fact and the reality that you can control your health. And epigenetics is the amount of your health that you can control through diet, through nutrition, through supplementation. And so as I'm reading this over the last decade, the fact that we can control to a large extent how disease enters or doesn't enter the body is like radically, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
very exciting.
I mean, the idea, like we all think, or at least the way I was raised before, being introduced on, how do you say it? The way our culture teaches it is if you get Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, Crohn's disease, like if you get one of these diseases, you could not have done anything different in your previous 50 years to prevent that from happening. And that's a lie. It's like straight up not true. And at least taking a step back, I get a little intense. The science is supporting more and more that we can prevent disease. Dr. Ajay Ghul out of Baylor University is one of my favorite examples. His like life testimony is he started, 40 years ago, trying to find the cure to cancer and searching for cures for diseases. And he had this revelation point that he could save millions of more people if he researched and educated on prevention of disease. And that was so striking to me because that's literally what I'm trying to do. And what you guys are trying to do is strengthen people's health, their terrain, of their bodies, their strength in their terrain, their overall immune systems, their health, their body's ability to assimilate nutrients, get better nutrients, inspire vibrant lives. And there is such opportunity there. So I love this whole epigenetics conversation.
Yeah, I think it could be a whole nother podcast episode in and of itself, right? But it's just good, for those listeners out there, it's good to understand what it is and just the fact that you can control your health and your destiny, right? And don't worry if you spent the last 50 years maybe not focused and prioritizing your health. You still have another 50 more and you can do good starting today, moving forward. And maybe that kind of leads us into our next question. We love leaving our listeners with some simple tips that they can use immediately. What can someone do today, tomorrow, next week to help improve the quality of their life? You already shared a bunch of tips when it comes to supplements and picking those, but just maybe a little bit even more general.
Yeah, I love the idea of comparing our health to like a little flame. You can have a little tiny flame where someone's like, I'm going to stop, smoking cigarettes. Actually, I mean, that's a big, big decision. So I don't want to minimize that, but they might decide something little, right? Like I'm going to try to stop eating fast food, and I'm going to think through, I'm going to like prepare and prep some meals. So I have a lunch every day. Maybe it's an organic PBJ. I mean, it could be something really simple, but that gets you away from going through the fast food lane every day. And because that's healthy for you. So what I love to encourage is baby steps. And it might be baby steps in the area of diet, exercise, supplementation, might be baby steps in like, wow, I'm going to see a naturopath instead of, just to see what a naturopath would recommend for this situation instead of. Or maybe a baby step is going to findyourhealthyplace.com and hitting the live chat feature on the website. Whatever a baby step looks like for you, like ask questions. I mean, you have amazing resources in Marnie and Stephanie, like ask the question, because questions are the fork in the road that can lead to a more vibrant life. Or you can go the other way and not ask the question and not, continue feeling sick, continue feeling depressed, not sleeping. And so I want to like spark in you, like the reality that you can live a vibrant life, like wherever you're at, like wherever you have going on, you might be facing the largest intensities out of any of us. And your life can be vibrant because of how you respond to those challenges. I heard a quote that's like, the only way a plane can lift off the ground is if the wind is against it. And when you look at why a seed starts to grow, it's like the pressure of the soil around it that forces that seed to start to grow. You look at a mighty oak tree, it's the storms that make that oak tree so strong because it's got to dig its roots deeper. So, man, there is a life that's worth fighting for, and your quality of life is worth fighting for. So baby steps is my encouragement to you.
Oh, I love that advice. It's simple. I know it's not easy, but we have to start somewhere. And this conversation alone is going to spark some motivation in people to do that one thing, take that one baby step today.
I love that.
Yeah, Stephanie and I are big proponents of baby steps in all aspects of your health and wellness. It's really that slow journey to wellness so that it's sustainable.
And it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, right?
Yeah,
totally.
And that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, of not living in a healthy way. And that's okay. It's like today is a beautiful day to start that journey, and there's negative things that happen. You might have a healthy person that does get cancer. And it's like, okay, how are we going to respond to that?
Yeah.
It's a battle worth fighting.
So, Tim, where can our listeners find these amazing products and your people?
Thank you. So findyourhealthyplace.com and, hit that live chat feature if you have questions. It's such a brilliant resource. I'm just so proud of my team for creating it. It's so cool. And there's a wellness consultant on the other side. I think it's Ross right now as we're speaking. Good guy. And that's a great place to find us. You will love our social media. So The Healthy Place on Facebook. On Instagram, we're Apple Wellness. Long story there, but Apple Wellness is our Instagram handle. And the idea is like, just like I talked about adding somebody to your team, I mean, following on Facebook and jumping on the Instagram is like having a cheerleader that's reminding you about the quality of life. My wife, Becky, we run the company together, and she handles all the social media. She does such a good job. You'll love it. I mean, recipes, how to travel with your kids better. I mean, there's just so many cool nuggets in there. And my email is tim@findyourhealthyplace.com, tim@findyourhealthyplace.com. And my dream in life is to be a resource, encouragement, and inspiration to others. And so any questions you have, I'm very happy to help you there too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we know there's a special offer and a coupon code for our listeners. So thank you so much for that. And we'll link that up in the show notes using the code Living Well, I believe, for 30% off.
I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to make it easier because supplements can get expensive. So 30% off the full price. And if that helps some people out, that's awesome.
Thank you for that.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
So Tim, it's been such an amazing conversation. And one final question that we ask all of our guests is, what does the art of living well mean to you?
Oh boy. For me, I have faith in God. So I like to say, hey, be true to yourself, wherever you're at with that, but be true to yourself. Like, don't let, if you have a boat that has a rudder and that rudder is a little bit off across the Atlantic Ocean, you can end up on another continent. So I tell people like, man, you don't want to end up at another continent at the end of your life. Like, be true to yourself, and you're worth being made better. You are the best version of you, and own that, and never stop the commitment of growing and becoming better and stronger and faster, not just for your sake, although that's the number one. I get the picture of the cup on the top that gets filled with water and then spills over to others. So that's number one. And then do it because there's a whole world around you of people that are suffering, that need light in their lives, and you can be that light for other people. So to me, that's the art of living well.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I love that analogy that you gave, and just the cup runneth over.
It's easy to forget, right? As we neglect ourselves and care for others sometimes, or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. I love your passion, and I'm just so excited about this new resource for our listeners. And it's been super informative and informational. So
Good.
So much for
and
coming
I'm
on
looking
our
forward
show.
to trying the chill pill, and I'll report back.
Yes. We did a campaign for Christmas. We were like, give your husband a chill pill.
Well, Father's Day is coming up. Well, I mean, by the time this airs, it'll be after Father's Day, but maybe
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah.
Anyway,
take a chill pill. My wife in fights now, she's like, go take a chill pill. I'm like, oh.
That's funny.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank
this
you.
Is so much fun. I really had fun.
Yeah, us too.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too, Marnie. You too, Stephanie.
Bye, Tim.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Art of Living Well podcast. We are so grateful that you joined us today.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or anyone else you think may benefit from this information. We'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and tag the Art of Living Well podcast on social media.
If you want more inspiration in between episodes, you can find us on social media at theartofliving_well on Instagram and Facebook, where we will share snippets from our daily lives and our journey to living well.